and welcome to this Sunday service coming to you live from the sanctuary at UUCS. Live. That's a funny word. It's kind of changed its meaning over the last 100 years, hasn't it? Like when you think when television first started, it was being filmed live with all the mistakes that human production can make. And then live studio audience was a big deal when it came into being. You know, this week even we've had a couple of live experiences that the country has looked at, including the riots at Washington, D.C. Capitol and capitals across the country, as well as legislatures, many of them standing up and reaching out across the aisle, possibly talking about collaboration for the first time in a while. That was nice to see. And now live can mean live streaming, coming to you in some computer system that you can look at now or later if you want to. Speaking of which, there's a little comment section that you'll notice. And please feel free to write comments about the service as you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. I think we would all prefer to be here live, in person. And someday we will again. So in the meantime, thank you for watching and being there. Alive, and I hope healthy. So welcome to this service, to this day, and to new possibilities.
Our opening hymn today is "We're Gonna Sit at the Welcome Table." It's number 407 in the gray hymnal. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
Don't be afraid, it'll be okay. Don't be afraid, everything's alright. Tomorrow's another day. So don't be afraid, 'cause I'm here to hold you tonight. Oh my love, the wind is high and moving just as fast as time is rushing by. Hold on tight and take my hand. I promise you we'll muddle through as best we can. And don't be afraid, it'll be okay. Don't be afraid, everything's alright. Tomorrow's another day. So don't be afraid, 'cause 'cause I'm here to hold you tonight. Time will tell, it always does, and sometimes the only answer's just because. All we can do, enjoy the ride, and when it ends I know we'll laugh more than we cried. And don't be afraid, it'll be okay. Don't be afraid, everything's alright. Tomorrow's another day. Don't be afraid, 'cause I'm here to hold you tonight. Yes, I'm here to hold you tonight. Eyes wide open, feet on the ground. Never look back and don't look down. Eyes wide open, feet on the ground. Never look back and don't look down. Eyes wide open, feet on the ground. Never look back and don't look down. Eyes wide open, feet on the ground. Don't look back and don't look down. Walk to the rhythm of the choices made. True to the path and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, it'll be okay. Don't be afraid, everything's alright. Tomorrow's another day. Don't be afraid, 'cause I'm here to hold you tonight. Yes, I'm here to hold you tonight.
Let me share Leonard Mason's wisdom, especially fitting for our times. We affirm the unfailing renewal of life, rising from the earth and reaching for the sun. All living creatures shall fulfill themselves. We affirm the steady growth of human companionship, rising from ancient cradles and reaching for the stars. People the world over shall seek the ways of understanding. We affirm a continuing hope that out of every tragedy, the spirits of individuals shall rise to build a better world. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, building a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world. Albert Schweitzer gently reminds us, at times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. And so we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. We light our second chalice for our partner church in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. We light our third chalice for our children and youth in religious exploration and all around the world. Let us sing our flame into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Hello and welcome to the Time for All Ages portion of the service. The story I'm going to tell you today is Owl Moon. by Jane Yolen. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went out owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright that the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out trains and dogs for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was quiet as a dream. We walked towards the woods, Pa and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short, round shadow bumped after me. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask, and then he called, "Hoo, hoo, hoo," the sound for the great horned owl. Hoo, hoo. Again he called out, and then again, and after each call he was silent for a moment, and we both listened. But there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, "Sometimes there's an owl, sometimes there isn't." We walked on. I could feel the cold as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back, and my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. They gained the white snow, and my mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kind of things hide behind the black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than milk in a cereal bowl. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over my scarf over my mouth and listened hard, and then Pa called, "Hoo, hoo." I listened, and I looked so hard my ears hurt and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. "Hoo, hoo." Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, "Hoo, hoo," just as if he and the owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or about the moon, or about the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl came closer from high up in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden an owl shadow, part of a big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we hadn't spoken. The shadow hooted again. Pa turned his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without a sound. It flew back into the forest. Time to go home. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud, but I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warmth or anything but hope. That's what Pa says, the kind of hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. The end. Please do consider joining us for the Children's Religious Exploration Program, being held live on Sunday mornings at 9:45 a.m. via Zoom, or at the youth meeting time on Thursday at 5 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
When we were small and fell down, hopefully we had someone who picked us up, allowed the tears to fall, and told us that we were going to be okay again. As we grow older and more independent, we tend to push that help away, thinking we should be able to do everything for ourselves, and that if we fall, it is our fault. Steve Maraboli said, "My mistakes have been my greatest mentors." And many times I know that to be true. For I have learned from mistakes, even though sometimes I have to make the same mistakes over and over. I still learn something new each time. When the learning has been most effective, it is when someone has shown me compassion for what I have been through. Even as adults, we still need the compassion of being held, letting the tears flow, and being told that we are going to be okay. May we give this to ourselves, to each other, and accept it when it is shown to us. Connie Anderson writes about how so many people are struggling financially during this pandemic, including her family. And she asks that we keep her and others in our thoughts during this time. Compassion is our way. Ralph Waldo Emerson is quoted as saying, "Our chief want in life is someone who will make us do what we can." Someone to mentor us, push us when necessary, but also have, as the Buddhists say, mudita, appreciative joy, meaning having pleasure when seeing the success of others. Who in your life has encouraged you to do more than you thought you could? Who are you grateful to for coming into your life at the right moment, encouraging you, questioning you, pushing you, and also being pleased for you? Have you thanked them lately? To foster the feeling of mudita, appreciative joy, starts with gratitude. Gratitude to those who have mentored you. Allow this feeling of gratitude to spur you to encourage others. You might become a mentor to someone without even knowing it. Practicing gratitude daily only fosters gratitude. Amen.
Are you going through a hard time and need some gentle support? Then come to Compassionate Connections, a small group of kind individuals who will be with you virtually. It meets every month on the second Sunday at noon. That means it meets today. Click on the Zoom link at noon to join us. Another way to stay connected to the people at UUCS is to share your joys and concerns. Follow the instructions on the slide to access the link for what's on your mind.
Our pastoral hymn today is Can I See Another's Woe? It's number 127 in the gray hymnal. Can I see another's woe and not be in sorrow too? Can I see another's grief and not seek for kind relief? Can I see a falling tear and not feel my sorrow's share? Can a father see his child weep, nor be with sorrow filled? Can a mother sit and hear infant groan and infant fear? No, no, never can it be. Never, never can it be.
What a beautiful hymn, Can I See Another's Woe? We can be empathic. We can and do connect with others, but it can be difficult, especially in these socially distant times. The poet, Mary Oliver, offers some observations on how to connect to the wider world. There are things you can't reach, but you can reach out to them, and all day long. The wind, the bird flying away, the idea of God. And it can keep you as busy as anything else, and happier. The snake slides away, the fish jumps, like a little lily out of the water and back in. The goldfinches sing from the unreachable top of the tree. I look, morning to night, I am never done with looking. Looking, I mean not just standing around, but standing around as though with your arms open and thinking, maybe something will come, some shining coil of wind, or a few leaves from any old tree. They are all in this too. And now I will tell you the truth. Everything in this world comes, at least closer and cordially, like the nibbling, tinsel-eyed fish, the unlooping snake, like goldfinches, little dolls of gold fluttering around the corner of the sky of God, the blue air.
England, 836 AD. Danish king Ragnar Lodbrok, otherwise known as Ragnar Shaggy Britches, is defeated in his attempt to conquer England by the first recognized king of England, King Ecgbert. Shaggy Britches' sons, including Hyggus, Hubba, and Gothrum, retaliate in 866 and win part of Northumbria and York. Ecgbert's grandson, Alfred the Great, not to be outdone, finally gets Hubba killed in 878. Hyggus goes off to conquer Ireland and immediately gets killed. This leaves Gothrum, who is captured by Alfred the Great and to save his life accepts baptism and Alfred as his godfather. Gauthrin and all his relatives settle into England as loyal subjects of the king, and their names change to include the name Hubbard, as in Old Lady Hubbard, who lived in a shoe. As in many generations later, my paternal grandmother Hubbard married this Irish dude named Picket, and now here I am in the picture. So here's my question. Am I responsible for England's history after 878? I mean, if my shaggy breeches ancestor had succeeded, there might not even be an England, and we'd all be speaking Danish. I hope you'll say no. I am not responsible for England's history. But it is interesting to think about what influence your ancestors have on who you are today. Fathers. We've all had them. Some of you are fathers. Some of you may be saying, I had a great father. Some may be saying, I don't want to be anything like my father. Unitarian Universalist Reverend David O. Rankin wrote a wonderful homily entitled Honor Thy Father about his own father, and I love how he shows aspects of the man he knew. He gives us the impression that his father was a hard-working man who wanted to both protect and support his son, yet didn't quite get the path his son wound up taking of becoming a minister. While he indicates in his own way his father was proud of him, yet Reverend Rankin leaves us with the line, I never knew him well. I never knew him well. Those words echo in my mind. I never knew him well. Can that be said for my own father? Or for fathers or mothers or anyone that touches our lives? How well do we truly know them? And how aware are we of their influence on us? Memories of my own father are mixed. I remember this guy with broad shoulders where I could lay my head down and be carried around. I used to say I lived with Santa Claus because of his white hair and beard. Was it always white? As far as I can remember. I remember pipe smoke being blown down into my ear when I had an earache. Okay, probably not the best idea, but the warm air did feel good. And I remember endless nights, curled up in his lap, hearing about the universe, the dinosaurs, and all the Greek and Roman myths. I wouldn't allow him to read it to me. No, he had to tell me himself. I wonder now how much homework he actually did before those sessions. I also remember this guy who seemed to get less and less interested in what I was doing as I started pursuing my own interests, seeming to be more and more on the sidelines. If I were to characterize him or say what he did, I would call him a storyteller, gardener, fixer-upper of houses, teacher, traveler. We did live in Mallorca for almost 3 years because he always wanted to go there. Someone who liked monologues more than conversations. Though as he grew older, he became the audience for my brother's monologues, which he accepted. Theater director for many years prior to my knowing him. In mid to later life, he created classes where he would go to retirement homes and teach courses in lost moments in history, Shakespeare, and how to keep your mind active. He loved the researching of topics and then sharing the information. Probably didn't charge what he was worth, but it was his social life as well. Got a little following, a group of regulars that would follow him from location to location. He could be stubborn. didn't like the politics of working in a university system, and it showed. Many times, the students liked him more than the faculty, so worked at several colleges, but never quite enough to get tenure. He used to say he got along well with small children and older adults. There is some truth in that. Just recently, I found a letter from his own father to him as a teenager, saying a similar thing about himself, the dad. It's kind of interesting. It seems like when you mention fathers, dads, specific roles come up, and not generalizations such as he was a lovely person or specifics about a person, like John liked fishing and he loved telling stories about fishing. But roles, like fathers are disciplinarians, they are peacemakers, they are workers, they fix things, they tell stories, they get to have fun with the kids. Many times they are known by their jobs or professions, and even those are frequently deemed successful based on monetary value. It is as if being a father is a job that has these certain requirements, and if you fulfill those, you are successful, and if you don't, then you're unsuccessful. Yet, not all the requirements are the same, father to father. And it doesn't seem like it's always known what those requirements are. Recently, there has been a lot of press about how the roles for new fathers are changing. They're taking on a greater role in day-to-day caregiving than they have before. But throughout history, haven't there been men, fathers, who have been nurturing, caring, and present, as well as those that have been distant, belittling, and absent, if at not times violent? So it makes you wonder, has there actually been a societal shift, or are we just starting to pay better attention? Researchers have actually been studying the roles of fathers in terms of psychological well-being and general health in children, and have found that fathers are not just an extra pair of hands, but that they can influence a child's feeling of security and trust within the world, their self-esteem and interest in learning, and social factors such as personal boundaries and respect of others. Sometimes in fiction, we see an idealized role of a father or a father figure. I've been reading the biography of Louisa May Alcott, niece of Unitarian minister Reverend Samuel May, as well as a book about her and her father and their relationship. Bronson Alcott was a big proponent of transcendentalism and a follower of both Emerson and Reverend Theodore Parker. His thoughts tended to provide more than his ability to provide food for the table. In her books, especially Little Women, the father figure doesn't really play much role in the daily business. He's an outside figure, away at the war, or mentioned in Joe's Boys as having the parish and idealized as this benevolent figure whom they miss when he is gone and worship when he is present and want his praise, but he himself does little to shape their thoughts or personalities. Even the seemingly gruff, kind-hearted older Mr. Lawrence is known for his monetary gifts in the form of food or the piano. And the big breakthrough is when Beth softens his heart through her music. The girls change him, and then he shows support for their endeavors. Later, in her book Little Men, the fictional father Bear is much more involved with the children in the school, talking and demonstrating morals, ethics, and love. He can be nurturing and be the disciplinarian all in one, fun-loving and serious. He can fit each child's unique needs before they even know what they are, both his biological children as well as those at the school. In fact, we hear more about how he helps those who are not blood-related. And here we might get the image of a father figure. The father figure, or a mentor, sometimes influencing someone much more than the biological father. So in thinking about father figures and mentors, it makes me wonder, how do we nurture spiritual growth through the inspiration of others' lives? When you think about it, traditionally in religion, God is often thought of as a father figure, the protector, showing knowledge and wisdom. Trinitarians, after all, say Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. It was the beginning of liberal theology that started to bring the idea of God as maybe not being an all-knowing father figure. And today, the focus appears to be more on supporting spiritual growth through individual experiences of connecting to others and to the non-gendered sacred mystery or universe. This is all well and good, and I support that view. Yet, I know at times for myself, I want something more solid to help ground or anchor myself. And that is where it seems the flesh and blood human connection of another being around someone whose values I admire, or learning about someone who has lived an ethical and authentic life, can inspire me and helps me to grow. Recently, I learned about some things about my father I did not know. I've been reading letters lately that my father wrote as a late teen to his family, and they wrote to him as he was starting college and then going off to fight in World War II. They write and tell him how proud they are of him, of how he should live up to his potential, and news of their lives. He tells stories of shooting a gun for the first time in his life. Apparently, he was an excellent shot. And then deliberately failing a test so he wouldn't have to be a sniper. My peace-loving dad held a gun? Who knew? He wrote how he had just heard over the radio that the Chinese army had taken over the city of Fuzhou in southeast China. Fuzhou, where my paternal grandmother had been born to Congregational missionaries and lived the first 12 years of her life. That must have made an impact. Near the end of his letters, he writes about being a medic in Japan after the bombing of Hiroshima and falling in love with the beautiful country, its culture influencing much of the rest of his life. Reading these has brought new understanding to family stories. I wonder now what my Christian grandmother felt when her son sent a statue of a Buddha back home. I wish I could ask her that, but she's long gone. The letters tell of a loving family, an idealized father who died 8 years after World War II ended, and the separating of a family through siblings marrying and scattering across the country, society adapting after World War II, and other life tragedies that can occur along the journey of life. But through these, I have gained insight into my childhood, as well as lives I did not have the privilege to meet or know that well. As we grow, both as people and our spiritual lives, do we need to get to a point where we are isolated entities, totally self-sufficient in our own needs? Or is it beneficial to continue to want and seek unconditional love, support, and a sense of security from others? It's something I've been thinking about. I like the positive qualities researchers list for fathers: wisdom, unconditional love, encouragement, helping when needed, but also fostering independence and personal growth. Of course, fathers are not the only ones who can show these attributes. Mothers can, of course, as well as others in our lives. People we might call mentors, spiritual leaders, or advisors. And sometimes we are lucky enough to find someone who not only influences us in a positive way, but who says we influence them as well. Sometimes these folks might be called, as the ancient Celts did, soul friends. When we find people like that, we both grow into our better selves. Such a presence in your life is a true gift, something to be nurtured and cherished. As UUC's third principle of acceptance to one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation suggests, yes, it is okay to recognize something in another person that speaks to you, that embodies an aspect or character trait that you want to emulate in your life as you walk your spiritual path. Someone, past or present, who you know or have read about that encourages, challenges, and supports you while you search for truth and meaning. You use fourth principle, by the way. Be it Jesus, the Buddha, or Louisa May Alcott's uncle, the Reverend Samuel May. Find the lives where you can find truth and inspiration, nurturing spiritual growth through the inspiration of others. Nurturing spiritual growth through the inspiration of others. Going back to Reverend Rankin, later in his homily about his own father, he states, "It was a subtle relationship, our lives together. We never went skiing, sailing, or to a fancy French restaurant. Yet I was never deprived. In 1,000 ways, a blanket covering my chest at night, a heavy hand on the back of my head, a favorite meal prepared, a certain look in his eyes, a silent pride, a trusting glance. In 1,000 ways was love conveyed." Am I my father's daughter? I certainly have drifted towards the more creative side of life as he did, just in different forms. Neither of us like math. The teaching? Well, who's to say? With both parents natural teachers, I probably had but little choice to let that out in some form. I don't know that it's important to analyze every little detail. We can inherit different tendencies, possibly even strengths and challenges. But we can only live in the present time, our time, and respond with our unique responses, even when history repeats itself. Am I my father's daughter? Yes and no. I'm not a clone, nor should I be, nor it be wished for me. I'm a person who is constantly being influenced by people I meet and those who nurture me in my spiritual and life journey. When my father died, I told him I'd make him a hero he always wanted to be. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. He was a person who did what he could, and just because I reached out for more shouldn't diminish what he had to give. Maybe that was his gift. Always be searching. Always be developing. Always accept love and support where you find it. Settle in. Take a deep breath in and out, and let your mind settle down and become in tune with your deeper self. What do you hear when you become quiet and listen? what do you hear? Let it be a kind, loving voice within that says, you are safe, you are loved, you are doing exactly what you should be doing in your life at this moment. Foster that positive, loving voice so that it may guide you safely along your journey. Allow it to be your mentor on your life's path. Amen.
We support UUCS through our pledges, time, and connections with one another. We also support the Salem community through donations to the Marion Polk Food Share. For the month of January, we are highlighting the needs of Family Promise, a nonprofit dedicated to helping families who are experiencing homelessness find stable housing and independence. UUCS has been a strong supporter since its inception nearly 15 years ago. Let's carry on that tradition. Your generosity is needed now more than ever. Please send your checks to UUCS or visit the website to donate. Thank you for helping our congregation and the wider community in Salem. On this slide, you can see where to go on the web to make your donation. Thank you.
Well, I guess you could call it our summer of freedom, the year that we both turned 18. Hitchhiked to Denver, fresh out of high school. Man, we were sights to be seen. That was the year that you dated my cousin till they took us away in the fall. I dearly wish you were standing here with me as I touch your name on the wall. Touch your name on the wall. Touch your name on the wall. God help us all. Touch your name on the wall. Every time that I come here, I wear my fatigues to honor the man that I knew. I touch every name that came from my outfit. I read them out loud when I do. Some people say that they all died for nothing, but I can't completely agree. This brother here, he didn't die for no country. Ooh, he died for me. Touch your name on the wall. Touch your name on the wall. God help us all. Touch your name on the wall. Touch your name on the wall. Touch your name on the wall. God help us all. Touch your name on the wall. Some say the walls are just made for division. They separate me from you. God bless the wall that brings us together, reminds us of what we've been through. God damn the liars and the tin-plated heroes who trade on the blood of these men. God, give us the courage to stand up and tell them, ooh, never again touch your name on a wall, touch your name on a wall. God help us all, touch your name on a wall. Touch your name on the wall, touch your name on the wall. God help us all, touch your name on the wall. God help us all, touch your name on the wall.
As we extinguish our chalices, we transfer their flame to the social justice lantern as a symbolic reminder of the light and justice we carry out into the world. Let us reflect on the powerful metaphors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We shall hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
So after the service today, be sure and check out the Zoom fellowship gathering. I know that Anna Talley and Megan Roller will be happy to see you there, as will many of our other friends. In other news of the community, you can check out the hot topics. The Habitat and Hope Village congregational meetings are happening every Wednesday this month, where people who are involved with that, including Paul Wilson, will answer your questions as well as tell you what's going on. Also, you might want to check out behind the where a rendition of 12 months of this past year are in play, including a brief mention of the lovely lantern walk that was done on Christmas Eve that hopefully will become a new tradition. Other thing we want to make sure you know about and to do are continuing to make the prayer flags. I know one couple at least came in and did a prayer flag and commented that they felt very safe and secure in doing it, and it was a great experience and a wonderful time to be back in the sanctuary. So please contact Lily and she can set you up with the time. And we have some more flags on the wall now. Maybe we can get a new picture up so that you all can see the additions that have been made. Thank you so much.
Our closing hymn today is Let It Be a Dance. It's number 311 in the Gray Hymnal. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like the willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
From Barbara Peskin, because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of the horizons of their visions, we too dream. Let us join hands in body and spirit, saying these words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.